Oh, yes. Thank you, everybody. It's good to be here once again. My name is Mal Burns. You knew that, didn't you? Mal is one word, Burns is the second word. But if you want to find me on Twitter, you're going to have to squash me. Don't get any ideas there. Twitter.com/MALBURNS, all one word. And accompanying that, there is twitter.com/Metaworld News, all one word again, just named after this show. The former is me in all my glory, twittering away. The latter is tweets that are more to do with this show and sort of virtual worlds as opposed to VR generally and haptics and all the rest stuff like that. If you are still in that grand old high street called Second Life, by the way, there's another Twitter feed. It's just twitter.com/Malburns_writer. How's that for a handful?
Sure.
Right. That's arts and destinations in the same place, so to speak. But today we're focused mostly on news headlines, and these will be the news lines for the week ending the 4th of April, 2021, that is. And that indeed is today when we're actually recording and transmitting this live to
Live and
you
in person.
over the web uh, airwaves,
Yeah.
sort of
Do
thing.
you, do you hear a train in my microphone?
No.
Okay, good. I there's a train running outside and I have the windows open, so I wasn't sure if that was
Oh,
making it into the audio feed.
yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think Mike's mute those sort of things. Even when my window's open, it would take an awful lot of noise to get it to
Ah, okay,
cover,
good.
like a
Good,
thing.
good.
Yeah, I close the windows anyway, but you never know. Right, okay. The voice you just heard, this mysterious voice, is not me. You see, that, however, is James. James Atloud. Hello, James.
Well, hello, Mal. Welcome to April
We
4th. Did you have a good
yes.
April 1st day? Did you fool anybody?
No, I mean, I think it was Google and a few of those other people. They deliberately said that it wouldn't be right to hold the April Fool this year,
Oh,
and it
okay.
wasn't to do with COVID and stuff. It was
Yeah.
to do with the growth of fake news and stuff. It's
Oh,
almost like
okay, sure,
April Fool's
sure.
Day. April Fool Day happens every day this
Mhm.
week. One of the links I will not have on screen, I have one on screen at the moment, which is scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com.
Mhm.
And as usual, it's the XR Week Peak, where he looks back. He's on March 29th there, which is Monday, and he's looking back on the previous week. So I always open up with this.
Ah.
But midweek, or rather on Thursday, he did post a long post. He does very long reviews. Some of his posts are rather like books.
Mhm.
And only after I tweeted it, I waited about 30 seconds, then I tweeted again, don't forget the date. Because I realized that what he posted was almost certainly
April 1st.
a
Right.
very clever April Fool's gag. It was a fully fledged review, courtesy of a friend in China, of a prototype Apple um, augmented reality glasses.
Ah, yeah.
And there's a video that goes with it, and when you actually see him put them on, look like a wire kind of metal. You suddenly click. I go, this no, no, no. This is a gag, but it's a gag that
Mhm.
he ran. He drained every last inch he was going to get out of it.
That's
And
excellent.
I haven't actually posted it because, great as it was, I don't want to give the wrong impression,
Right, right.
because you could almost be fooled. And as you know, I mean, I haven't covered much anything of Apple recently because I don't news is not rumor.
Right.
And as much as I like reading the rumors myself, and some of them actually have, a bit of names behind them, I still consider them rumor. And
Right, right.
the way he structured this gag actually was quite funny because he was almost saying the same thing. He was sort of basically an authority, who works for Apple in China, and
Yeah.
where
Right.
they're actually manufacturing them, and he was slipped one, in advance of manufacturing
Oh yeah.
prototypes.
Yep.
You know? And yeah, well, anyway, so you did a good job on that. So good on you,
All right.
Anthony Scar
Well,
Ghost. Yeah.
yep. Oh, and I'll quickly mention my shirt. You know, I'm always looking for
Oh yeah,
enjoyable shirts, and
that one's
this is
certainly jumping and bouncing.
yeah, it is, it is, and you know, we feature this artist. I've featured this person's shirts before, Jamal Store, but
Thought
this one
so.
was free today, and you know, I
Yeah.
love the animated shirts. You know,
Yeah.
it's got the fireworks and the moving letters. I don't know what JML means, but if you
I think
pronounce the three
that's his.
letters,
I think that's his. I think that is his full store name.
it sounds like Jamal, right? Right.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen JML frequently here in Sansol, so
okay,
I
okay,
think it's actually the name of a store. It may
yep,
even be a location, but
sure,
certainly
sure,
the name of a store at some
yep,
location. So yeah, the J will be for JML.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like to
But
try
yes,
and feature
nice.
new
Always.
artists, but this
Yeah.
one just caught
Always
my
nice to
eye.
see jumping, bouncing things there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We like shiny
Well,
things.
as well as chatting, James is dutifully fiddling with things behind the screens because he is able to bring you my desktop and the pictures from the news desk here and all sorts of other things when required. Because he's a genius with the knobs. Well,
I
yeah.
don't know about that.
So that would make a good T-shirt. So if you could get it to bounce and jump a bit, you could put knob genius
That's right. Oh my
or
goodness.
something.
Right.
James, out loud with knobs on,
Right.
as the
Oh my goodness.
colloquialism goes here.
Right. Right.
I've been known to use that myself as a sort of joke. Yeah, here is. God, Alexa
What's up?
keeps. That was Alexa telling me she has found a device and will be acting as its speaker.
Okay. All right.
It's an old Android phone. It's
Yep.
not
Yep.
well. It's connected. It's on Wi-Fi basically. It's not a functioning phone, but
Oh, Alexa.
can fool her, you know. Right, more fool her, should we say? Okay, so let's get back to the proper blabbering here. On screen at the moment, I have, of course, got scarghost.com, the XR Weepy on screen. Um, oh,
Oh.
yes, indeed. Rec Room becomes a unicorn. Sandbox VR is back to business and more. This, as I said a minute ago, is a weekly roundup. It happens on Mondays, so all the stuff here is referring not to the week just gone by for us, but the week gone by for him before that, as it were. Talking about Rec Room, obviously, which was in the news for raising money and everything else. Sandbox VR reopening. Uh, they actually had massive losses in the pandemic, but it seems like they're something there is reopening or hoping to. Um, Beginning to get separate from this post, beginning to get a few things in the feeds about uh, conferences and events and things that are going to happen in the real world again, even while the AWE events in New York happening in the real world again much later in the year. But I was surprised. I would not have thought events would be risking advertising a real world event at the moment until they're absolutely sure. But there's going to be a mini Glastonbury in September. But I think most of it is going to be live streaming online. Sort of obviously these people want to come out of the current situation, but having too much in the real world, I don't know. The British Prime Minister, good old Boris, is apart from his COVID passports, is actually one of the reasons he wants them is that it'd be an app that will prove that either you've tested negative for the virus or you've had your jabs, etc., etc. And he wants that so that they can have we can have football matches and big music events, festivals, things again. And you'd show your validation before getting in. There's a lot of fuss on civil liberties front about this, but seems like people are it's spring is in the air, summer's almost here, and people are really anxious to get back to what they think is normal. Though I doubt if anything's ever going to be normal again. But I digress. I digress. Keep me
Yep.
out of the rabbit hole.
All
I
right.
haven't
All right.
even got. I haven't even got through my first
Not even the
item yet,
first
have I?
link. Wow.
Yeah, Pico CEO announces and news from China, of course, when Neo is a consumer device. Oculus Quest 2 may detect people in your play space. Gosh golly, what's an Oculus 2 when it's at home? Oh, I think it's that toy from the God Emperor, isn't it? Yes. By decree, thou shalt have an Oculus Quest 2. Decree from the God Emperor there. Yeah. Who has also a really nice thing this week. He's published details about 533 million of you online. So if you are the lucky 532 million people out there, your details are now publicly exposed online, thanks to the God Emperor himself. Yep. Defrauded you out of the data and now he's posted it online. Dear me, dear me. Right, Facebook F8, whatever that be, returns on June the 2nd. I presume that's an online event. Let's see, Mojo Vision. I'm scrolling down quickly here because it is a week old and ooh, lots of people. Yeah, who knows? Yeah, so if you want to catch up on the week before last, do go to scarghost.com and look up March 29th post on Monday called the XR Peak Week. If you are watching this a day later and go and look up that post, it will be a brand new one tomorrow, featuring the week just gone by, just like our show. But I'm sure you can figure it all out for yourselves. Now, before I go any further, I got one post that I opened up earlier today. This isn't in any of my feeds, where it's in my private feed, and that's why I thought I'd bring it up. Um, we use Discord for recording here, or recording our voice anyway. And I don't know where this has gone. Reload the page, can I?
I'm seeing a lot of white. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I seem to have lost the. Yeah, I'm still connected. Where on earth is it? Gateway timeout. Oh, oh, there we are. Okay. Something Discord added this week is audio-only stage channels for Clubhouse-like presentations, and it meant I had to take one of my servers and change it to a community server, which is a hassle-free thing you do. It's actually a hypergrid server. There's so many people on it, so there's no problem making it a community server. And basically, Discord is taking described as the latest company to take a page from Clubhouse. Now, Clubhouse is this big new audio system where you go to meetings and talk on audio. I haven't liked it initially because at the moment it's on the iPhone only, and you need an invite. I do have the iPhone part of that, but I don't have the invite. Nevertheless, I mean, I could have hassled an invite off endless people I know who send me one, but I just can't do it. I mean, if I'm going to, I mean, obviously I like to go to meetings in virtual reality. I can handle meetings within reason on Zoom. But if I want an audio call, I mean, there's loads of things I can use. Skype and Messenger, all sorts of things handle audio calls with multiple people. So I haven't really liked the idea of Clubhouse at all. Even though it's the new fashionable thing to be on. I think it's basically because it's elitist. You need to get an invite there, and you're one of the cool kids if you can get an invite and go on and meet other cool kids. However, that aside, this new feature called Stage Channels in Discord could be very useful, even though it's nothing particularly radically different. It's basically obviously you can call your friends or colleagues like James and I are doing here on Discord at the moment. Initially, when I first used Discord many years ago, I thought it was an alternative to Skype, really, rather than all the servers for communities and games and stuff like that. But what this does, it allows you to say go to your Discord server and initiate a call on voice And I could actually ring James, and I could ring, say, a couple of people on other people on Discord who I wanted in the show as guests, and I could ring all four of us in to record and broadcast a show. But the the audio can be made public so that everybody else on your server can also get the call as a listener. So let's say I've got somebody who's a friend of mine on Discord, so I can get hold of them whether they're in a server or no, they'd have to be in the server, I think. I ring them up and say, let's do an interview. And rather than just do an interview in Discord and record it for later, I can make it public while I'm interviewing them. So anybody else in the same Discord server, will be able to be in chat and ask questions and stuff like that. A bit like being in, say, a virtual world like Second Life, and you can't engage in the voice with the guests, but you can actually chat in the chat room at the same time. I mean, I know YouTube offer that facility if you're watching this show, for example, but with Discord, you've got a ready-made, hundreds of listeners, hundreds of people in the server, quite possibly. Yeah, who are a ready-made audience. So I've been looking at it anyway, and I've immediately made a stage channel on the Hypergrid server of ours. I have a Metaworld channel, server, which is probably the ideal place for it, but that's not public, so you can't make a stage channel unless you're actually defined as a community server. But good looking, nothing really radical there, but just one of those strangely useful things that I think they've brought in, and Discord's voice and everything else is pretty good. Anyway, and you can see from the picture on screen there, that's how Discord looks when you've actually set up a stage channel. So up top there, you've got the main people in the channel talking, and then you've got the audience that's queued in, showing up as their avatars down here. They can't partake except in text, but so I added that little item in because I think that is of interest to folks. I hope it is anyway. Right. Okay, let me go to the top here and get things. No, I'm going to come down here. Right. This one is a YouTube link, as you'll probably see when it gets all noisy. Here we are. This is.
Studio, I'm Ian Hamilton. Thank you for joining us today.
Right now, this is Upload VR, except it's not. There was no early week Upload VR this week, and although there was the Thursday one, which is to games and stuff like that, but there is this live interview that came up with Spatial CEO on remote collaboration and virtual offices. So it comes from Upload VR, though it's not part of their VR upload show, if you see what I mean. It's just on their account, and yeah, quite interesting, generally speaking.
Yep.
Hopefully you enjoyed the gaming show. We'll be back Monday, I think, for the tech show, trend show. I had a demo today, and I wanted to get a Spatial CEO here into our studio, talk about some of these features, because I've had demos before with Spatial, and it's always been pretty impressive.
Right. Well, this is it's 33 minutes long, so I'm obviously not going to play it for you. I will just skip forward a bit to give you a feel for their guest.
Spatial, I can bring it up about it. Oh, is this? No, this is one of your earlier trailers showing the AR thing, right?
Oh no.
So yeah,
YouTube, what's up with you?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, if you want to hear that interview with Spatial, well worth listening to. It's Spatial are a halfway between augmented reality and virtual reality, really.
Yeah, and Upload
Yeah,
VR, they do a lot of programming. I mean, they've got,
yes, they do. This is
dozens of videos every week. So,
yeah, this is it's well worth going to Upload VR here at
yeah.
YouTube and subscribing to them, just so you get a notice of everything they're putting up.
All
Because
right.
as James says, there's a whole load of stuff,
Yep.
as well as of course the twice weekly VR upload, the early week edition being one that's well worth your time, so to speak. So that was one of the videos for this week. Um, Okay, I'll go on the videos. They're fun before I do the boring text day. um, skip ads business is annoying me. It's, the ad blocker is not working, obviously. Right. This is right. This is a site called AltVR, ALT, and then VR in caps. And this guy's been going for a good few weeks now. He's actually looking at an art exhibition called the Kramer Collection. It's an art museum, and they have a VR um, facet to them. Basically, fascinating architecture, extremely high quality photorealistic experience. This collection shows you many paintings by some great old Dutch masters. And actually, I've got loads of CD-ROMs of Dutch masters. Your Rembrandts and stuff, I guess.
All right.
So this means that we're interested in alternative and experimental applications in virtual reality. Now, for us, this often involves looking at art. One of the first videos that we actually ever uploaded here on YouTube was on the Museum of Other Realities, which is this grand, awesome museum of sort of reality playing art. And yeah, if you're interested in this, by the way, we have an interview with Samuel Arsenal for SART. We went through this museum for about 2 hours discussing possibilities of architecture and
Right. Now, this actually this isn't too long. It's only about 9 minutes in all. But obviously, let me just see. This is where we're at the Kramer Collection, which was the point of the actual thing.
yeah, it looks cool, definitely.
YouTube, take your adverts and stick them up your whatever.
Space skybox, so I guess this is sort of located nowhere. It's the show. Now, let's see here. There's a playable. Yeah, okay. These are my golden controllers.
Okay, where is it? Seem to be seeing more of the controllers than the artwork, but come on, hang on, there we are.
Yeah, I really wish people.
Looks like he's found the gallery at last.
But let's check out the artworks. Yeah, okay, immediately you see the clear detail, right? As I teleported close to that. You can really sort of take your head close to it and see all the amazing details. So, this is...
Okay, so, obviously, it's a virtual reality set, as it were. You can use it in your VR headset. The art gallery itself is very high resolution, but the paintings themselves are static. So it really is the real world traditional art gallery experience, but you're seeing them in VR. This idea is not new. In Second Life for many years, I even had an art gallery of my own. I scanned stuff by artists who were friends of mine and sort of put them up on the wall as paintings. If anybody cared to pass by, and other people actually launched, major galleries, or either for their own work or for work they wanted to host. And there's a limit to the resolution you could get from what you scanned and uploaded into Second Life, whereas with the modern virtuality, there's no real limit to the resolution. But they tended to be people's own projects, and many of them very worthy and great artwork. But this, of course, is an instance of an actual art gallery in real life, who's obviously got problems at the moment with audiences and stuff like that, who've actually created the Kramer Collection as an art museum online. So you go in online through a headset. I don't think you can get there without it. and then enjoy the art that you would normally go and truck around.
Did
Anyway,
you,
as I
Mel?
said, the
Oh, did you make it to
yeah, sorry,
the art gallery at VWBPE? I thought that was
oh,
really quite nice. Yeah,
I don't think I did.
yeah,
I was hopping around there, where in between filming and stuff to or the from one to another,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I didn't really. Yeah, I didn't really spend any time looking around the other things there. I found that build was just so infuriating, all the
yeah.
flying rocks and
You
everything. I
should go
mean,
back and see if it's still there. It was quite a nice exhibit.
yeah, I will do. I mean,
Yep,
there's been yeah, why not? I
yep,
will. Good, yeah. So for our listeners too, if you're anywhere near Second Life, you'll find a whole load of regions on the map, which are VWBPE. I think it's about 9 in all, and somewhere there you'll find the art gallery,
yeah, yep.
no doubt. I'm sure it's signposted somewhere when you arrive. Um, right, okay, so this is the Kramer collection, and Alt VR is the name of the account there. Now, Augmented Reality Conference (AWE) have a lot of individual nights, and we had one. Last week or the week before from Florence, and this is another one. Um, this is another one recorded 29th of March, which was midweek.
Psychology. What is not seen is always fascinating. Discovering that virtual reality is used to treat people with mental disorders is truly interesting. But what way is VR helping mental health community? There is a curious connection between psychology and the city of In 1870, French writer Henri Stendhal fainted from too much blood at the side of Colina, Santa Cruz.
Right, she's doing a little bit of introduction there, as you could probably see. Cecilia well, never mind. It lasts for an hour and 6 minutes. She obviously introduces it. If I remember rightly, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes more introduction, and then she gets around to introducing the people on it with her. Um, yeah, there we are. There's Anthony Vitillo at the end there. That, of course, is somebody we know as Scarred Ghost. Shall we have a sound effect for him?
It's always there whenever you need it.
Yeah, so yeah, mate, he's obviously the Italian metaverse superstar is our Scar Ghost. Anyway, you'll find this one at again, it's worth subscribing there. AWE in capitals space dash and then Augmented Reality Expo is their account. Remember, this is at YouTube. And indeed, Scar Ghost says it was a great event for all of us, and it was a pleasure to host it.
Nice.
He hosted it. Yes. Right. Moving on. Yes. Well, the link is YouTube.com, no less, isn't it? Or Augmented Reality if you can. Right. Now, Coffee and VR. I couldn't find this during the week, but I found it today when I was busy trying to see if I could find an upload VR that wasn't there. Right, this is a site, a YouTube site, of course, called Rendered Reality. 2 words squashed into one there, as is so very common on the web. They do it to me all the while. They do, yes. Right, Coffee and VR, the name of the show. It's 1 hour 26 minutes, so it's a bit meaty. They're talking about hand tracking that actually works, No Man's Sky expeditions, and signing up to Quest 2, amongst other things. And yeah, good show, very articulate.
Everything's gonna be focused around that AR stuff. Great stuff gets out there. I've never tried really any true AR stuff, so I'll be excited to try some of that stuff. But
I did get to use the HoloLens,
yeah,
and that in itself made me less excited.
Right. Opinionated, like most of them. Rendered reality is the account you want for that, and that's a nice hour and a half of listening. It is a good listen. I'm being cynical there a bit. You can't help but be opinionated when you're broadcasting, as somebody knows. Self knows this.
Never seen it here. No.
Oh, here we call it the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We don't use that four-letter word called opinion.
Right.
Yeah, never mind. Let's move on. Before I've lost my place. All Night Florence. That was right. Cream Cloud Discord. Oh, there we are. Right, moving up. All right, this is in Sansar here. I didn't get this into the Metaworld news feed, which is again I found it today whilst I was going
Welcome
through other
everyone
stuff.
to Stand Travel, where eternity serves.
Right. It's called Sansar Travels, and the region it's looking at is eternity, and the creator is Siberius, or would be if it was. You can't pronounce the threes. It's got that funny way of spelling itself. And the subscriber account you need is V month. No, B month ed monking. Oh, good grief. I will spell that out for you just in case. VEEMONTHEDEMONKING. I have no idea quite how to pronounce that because I can't see where you break it into syllables, if you see what I mean. So you can probably just about read it on screen there. If not, I have spelt it for you. But basically, yeah, there've been a few posts from him. They're basically travels around Sansar here.
Beforehand, so this is a nice little take here. It's been out. This one's been out for maybe like 2 years. I'm just taking a look at it now, and we have a nice animated horse here right at the front as you walk in. Pretty neat. Providing the energy on a treadmill for the rest of the place. The center bit here that's
Okay. Well,
as well here.
you've got the data via Monet and Monkey. That actually is only 4.5 minutes long. I could almost play it all for you, but I'm not going to do that. You can also see, of course, this Sansar interface here, which is interesting in its own right. This is where you go places. That's where you go to your friends. That's various other things, snapshots and building and stuff like that. If you've never been here, it's a sort of rather more advanced sort of version of something like Second Life. So the emphasis is less on easy, great stuff, more on events. Well, almost solely on events, whether they be your own or ones you actually are going to go and attend. Right, but so yeah, I'm not going to spell that one out again. Moving on to F Realities podcast, and this one is the subscriber one is F Realities, so it's capital F and then capital R, then EALITY lowercase space VR podcast.
And yeah, I noticed that the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons had some reported drift issues, and I have seen the same with DualSense.
Again, it's sort of informative sort of video podcast, really. They're looking at Vardro, Sense Glove Nova, which is a haptic glove, and Quest 2 Dominating Steam. It's on episode 185, so they know what they're doing. Well, they've been here a while doing it, let's put it that way. You can get them on Google Play Music, iTunes, and SoundCloud, if you just want to listen. And the podcast streams on Saturdays at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central USA on the YouTube channel I just showed you here. So the episode here is another one. It's at 1 hour 50 minutes. This obviously, as you can see, there are quite a few people on the show, so the time goes reasonably quick. It sometimes goes a bit slow when you've got people like me who are basically chatting all the while without interruption. But you very much get the conversation on this particular kind of show. So moving on, and this is this week in XR. Again, it wasn't coming through on the feeds this week. I don't know what's quite up with YouTube. Later on, we will find this week in XR, which is Charlie Fink's column in Forbes, which is text. But this is separate. This is his weekly show with Ted Schilowitz. And the guest is, he's very well known, actually. I can't remember where I know him from, Chris Masden. is joining them this week. The actual show is 30 minutes long. It's called This Week in XR, and the date there and featuring Chris Masden. And oh yeah, this week in XR. They're 4 separate words, is the name of the channel. Another one that's well worth subscribing to. Took them a while to fire up. There we are. Oh, sorry, it's going to take a while to unbuffer. There you are. Chris Masden here at the bottom. Charlie Fink talking top left. And
welcome, Chris. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well. Last time I saw you, Charlie, you were summoning birds into a virtual environment.
Yeah, after your presentation, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I conducted a workshop diversifying thing.
Right. So always informative, Mr. Fink. And yeah, you find that at This Week in XR. Right, moving up to the next one. This is Singularity Watch. Series 1, Episode 12. It's numbered a bit like, regular TV shows. Where we are. Singularity Watch is the name of their account. Again, you can subscribe to them, of course. This is the user number 1, A Journey with Robert Scoble. Very, very well-known Robert Scoble, of course. And they got a lovely little quote from him here. It's like, Uber was invented right in front of me in a Paris snowstorm. I've seen a few things in my life. I'm the Forrest Gump of the industry. I just show up at the right time. I like that. I like that. Anyway, there's a little bit of intro to Robert there too. But of course, the main thing is the interview. It's 30 minutes long. And I'll just move into it to get a feel for it.
So I got to see the first AI app. And now we should talk about that. I mean, it's remarkable. That was just about 10 years ago. And today, a third of our M1 shift in the app in the Katosh is neural network.
Right. Obviously, on the left is Robert's avatar, and they're interviewing him on the right. Don't know where they filmed this. It
looks
doesn't
like
actually
Altspace.
say.
Looks like the new Altspace
It does
avatars.
Probably
Yeah.
Altspace or something. Yeah, it's certainly one of the legless places. It's a shame, really, because Philip Rosedale interviewed Robert Scoble in High Fidelity, when back when it was a 3D world. And like Philip's avatar, Robert's avatar had been specially scanned, and it was a real photo. It was almost a hologram. I mean, the avatar was so photographically like Robert, sort of got this sort of bit of a belly that you don't see in this one, and definitely a more subtle haircut and whatever. But yeah, it's a bit whenever I see Robert Scoble as an avatar, I think it's such a shame he isn't able to port that particular avatar from High Fidelity to the other places he goes to, because it really was. It was perfectly him, I think is the word I'm looking for. Anyway, half an hour there, and the show is at Singularity Watch. That's the name of the show. And I forget how often they. I don't think they're on the regular schedule, but they do actually. Do ones fairly often. So yeah, find that one there. And the last of the videos, at least the videos on the loan, is another one from Augmented Reality World.
Hi and welcome to.
But it's not from their account. It's actually from the account of an actual virtual world-ish environment called Alloverse, ALLOVERSE. And it's a progress report on the status of collaborative work and development in the Alloverse. Come a long way in the past year, and this actually was a showreel they created for the All Night. I think it was the All Night in New York or something. So it's quite short. It's to the point, 2 minutes long.
Alloverse. Behind me, you can see the whole Alloverse team. We 8 people building the future of the internet. We believe the future is open source, collaborative, and spatial.
Alloverse apart for social theory apps is that we are an app platform. We can build
Aliverse app in any language and running anywhere on the internet. If you've seen Aliverse before, you'll notice that everything looks a lot better. We've also added support for C#, so you can write your Allo apps in .NET as well. We've also added a bunch of different sample apps, which we'll show you now. You can find them and read their source code on GitHub. The drawing lets you draw and sketch together during meetings. And the file viewer shows PDFs and images in your collaboration.
I want to have something to shoot, so I make balloons. You can parent things to your house.
3D.
Well, I say 2 minutes, but you've had 1 minute. That would do. Okay, I'm always keen to see this stuff, actually, because as they mentioned, it is open source. So, you know, you can grab code and do what you want with this. And as these kind of worlds go, it looks pretty presentable. I mean, for example, the world just a minute ago that with Robert Scoble, which James kindly defined as probably Altspace, it's pretty much the same as this, but Altspace, of course, is proprietary. It's Microsoft's, I think. Whereas this is a similar sort of thing, fast, furious, easy, I guess, and all open source and everything else. How far it will get? I mean, they've been going at it for a year, and this was published on Thursday, which was April the 1st, but I'm pretty sure it's not meant to be. It's not an April Fool's joke. Yeah, I didn't trust anything I read on Thursday, but looking back, I picked a few things that seemed to be legit. So it's on their own account, as you can see, Alloverse, Alloverse. I think I may have embedded that in the Metaworld news feed at Twitter, but I can't swear to it, so I remember that if you can. Right, so scrolling down the list here, that seems to be all the YouTube standalone videos I've got there. So I can now go back to our normal posts, all of which you'll find at twitter.com/Malburns, MALBURNS. And we've done the XR Week Peak, of course. So quite a few this week from a site called ARPost, ARPOST.co. And this one's quite useful. It's surprising how few posts there are these days that are actually literally like this. They've taken one platform, Engage, which is a fairly worthy platform, and they've done a hands-on review of it. It would be nice almost to have, it'd be nice if somebody started a blog called Hands-on Review of, and did a world a week, to explain it all. If you haven't been in Engage and looked at it, or maybe just popped in and forgotten about it, then you're able to read something like this where you get refreshed and engages the platform collaboration, virtual events, as well as remote learning. It can be used within organizations, but people can jump into open sessions, including live and recorded classes, thousands of 3D assets from an online content library, or assets uploaded by the user. So it goes creating your accounts, hardware compatibility and controls, and it shows you the environment. You use WASD controls, although I suspect you can probably use arrow keys as well. It tells you about creating an avatar. Not half bad as avatars go, by the way. And they're certainly not legless. Yeah. No alcohol there. That's fun. Creating and joining sessions tells you how to go about that. Like Oxford University's Exploring Venus sort of thing. There are public ones and private ones, of course, but it's obviously going to guide you through using public ones. Leading experience and recording your sessions there. You can do that too. Interacting with objects and locations, and basically all the stuff you need to know. Anybody who's been in any virtual world knows that these sort of basic things are essentials. If you want to move stuff around, for example, you've got this. That globe is very familiar. It's not used in every world, but something very similar usually is. And ends with a question: how will you engage? So this post is at arpost.co, ARPOST.co. And there's a couple from there this week. In fact, I'm going to actually jump to the other one here actually because it's nearby. Right, arpost.co again. Basically, how virtual reality aids people with low vision. Everything you need to know there is in the title, but it goes into the topic in considerable detail. A few people in the educational world I saw retweeted this one in the week, so presumably they thought it explained things rather well. And yeah, various links and stuff like that, but you get the gist of that anyway. Okay, moving up a bit. Well, up in my case, but down really. Right. This is a site called dancemagazine.com, DANCEMAGI, sorry, MAGAZINE.com, dancemagazine.com. I can probably spell that anyway, but no space title. They look at immersive theatre and how it thrives on closeness and asking where it goes from here. Theatre, after a slow start, has actually been a medium that has been exploring virtual reality quite a lot during the COVID pandemic, and quite a few things both live streamed online and recorded online, and sometimes merging with virtual reality, augmented reality, and real world recording. They've been experimenting quite a lot, and as the title says, it thrives on closeness, i.e., the feeling you get in a theatre, a bit like a concert, really, unless it's a huge stadium. Where you've got the performance on the stage, and you feel close to it because you're in front of the stage. I mean, not literally in front of the stage, but close to it, shall we say. Yeah, anyway, so then they look at that. They look at a couple of particular things. Then She Fell, Sleep No More, things we've covered briefly in the past. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. But nice sort of article rounding up things and discussing where immersive theatre, probably the right phrase there, may be going from here. And of course, they are mentioning the not only immersive theatre, but where is it? Part of their distinction, part of the thing they're looking at is when dance and virtual theatre actually start merging. Very similar sort of thing, really. The best stages in theatres, don't they? Right. God. Oh, yeah. British summertime, indeed. Confusing me. There we are. I've got a light on. Right. Oh, see at last. Right, okay. Now, one this week from voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. Kent buys regular series of podcasts, of course. We're now up to 987. That means we've got 13 to go before show number 1,000. I hope he does something special one on the 1,000th one. The neuroscience of neuromotor interfaces, plus privacy implications with Facebook Reality Labs. And he's interviewing Thomas Reardon for the most part here. Thomas Reardon is the director of neuromotor interfaces at a place called Facebook Reality. That might be connected with the God Emperor's concern, come to think of it. He's also co-founder of Control Labs, CTRL Labs. And the idea was to get more context on the neuroscience foundations and privacy risks associated with these breakthrough adaptive interfaces. And yes, it would be appropriate to discuss privacy risks, wouldn't it, in that case? Okay, so that's voicesofvr.com, as ever is. And VentureBeat have a piece here, short piece, basically noting that COVID has moved us closer to an industrial AR and VR revolution, i.e. the work at home, work remotely, whatever. Okay, that's not particularly relevant to the whole article. Yeah, basically they're just looking at the trend and You know, you can talk to a lot of people, and some people think, oh, it will just go back to normal in the end. And other people will say, no, this is a bright new future where we must rebuild and start from scratch. And other people will sink quite happily into the middle or have no opinion at all and just take it as it comes. But I think it's very clear. It's very clear that in many workplaces, many things, you know, COVID has wrought changes that will certainly won't be forgotten, but they will probably be permanent. You know, more people working remotely, more people examining what remote collaboration can do, which they've maybe ignored before, and maybe more people using things like virtual reality, which they'd never considered before. So it's not over and beyond the straightforward communication and remote learning, working, whatever. You know, the facilitation that some of these remote things provide is actually a step forward in itself. So they reckon COVID has moved us closer to an industrial AR and VR revolution. I saw somebody mention in the week something about we're in the second industrial revolution or something. But I don't know, for 20 or 30 years, I've considered we're in the technological revolution, like that supersedes industrial revolution. I'm not personally very happy about referring to the modern age as some kind of new industrial revolution. It makes me think of factories and smoke and polluting the environment and everything else like that. Whereas something about the description technological makes I know it's not actually, but somehow it feels a bit cleaner and environmentally conscious. You know, it's you know, even though invokes machinery and dirt and all that sort of stuff, but it is all getting cleaner and whatever. So I don't like, you know, I mean, industrial in terms of you describe somebody as industrious, fair enough, but I really don't like, you know, the idea that we're in another industrial revolution. I think we should, you know, think of it as technological. Anyway, that's another my opinion of mine, and any longer than that opinion, and we'd be in the rabbit hole again, wouldn't we? So let's get back to wherever the hell we were here. And yeah, similar theme here, really. VR and AR can reshape manufacturing training. This is opposed to the site called readwrite.com. We get quite stuff coming in from them quite a lot. readwrite.com, and written by somebody called Emily Newton. And yeah, she's just looking at both AR and VR and how that can reshape manufacturing training. And that is probably a very good example of what I mentioned just now about sort of it's not just the distance communication and all the other stuff that online has helped get us past COVID problems, but also you know, the things we can actually do online now, as you know, but even as solo work and put them in the pool or whatever. And particularly training, of course. You know, if you're stuck at home and you can get online and you want to learn a skill, then now is the perfect time to do it. Especially for many people who maybe are specialize in skills or whatever that can't be done online. I mean, if you are things are changing with the in Britain at least, lockdown is being eased up. But I mean, people like builders, you know, bricklayers and stuff like that, they've been at it actually all through COVID, to be honest. But there are manual labor kind of skills that were basically because they meant having a lot of people in close proximity were literally furloughed during the first stage of the COVID thing, particularly in wintertime. And that was so, you know, the perfect time to actually learn a new skill that is something that you could maybe do online in the future. Not all manual laboring jobs will come back. I suspect most of them will, but whether they're viable long term, I mean, a lot of essayists have been writing recently about separate from COVID and the fact that we've been forced to move online for a lot of things, is the speed with which robotics are literally taking over everything. You know, it won't be unheard of that people are being kind of furloughed or unemployed for say 2 years during COVID, and when it comes time to go back to work, they realize that in those 2 years, their former employer is now automated the whole factory workflow or something. And although the business comes back from the employer's point of view, from the employee's point of view, they're now redundant because they've been replaced by technology. So there's a lot of implications here, and of course the whole thing is probably very good for the environment, good for us because you can keep, if things are automated, they're much more efficient and things. You always need somebody in the system, the tree, so to speak, of manual supervision. But of course, where it is bad news for former, manual skills and things like that, it's just the perfect time to use virtual reality or AR or just go online to learn new skills that will be appropriate, for an online age. So, yep, that's all I'll say about that for now. Find this post at readwrite.com, readwrite.com. Right, now on to VentureBeat, a familiar size. Manticore Games have raised over $100 million for user-generated games in the multiverse. Dean Takahashi is a good writer on this front. I think this might be a bit of a rehash. This is March 31st, but it's almost like I felt like I'd read the article before. Basically, their platform is called Core. In fact, if you use Discord a lot, there is a Discord server for the platform called Core, C-O-R-E. And they've raised 100 million, which is quite a lot for. This is the key thing: user-generated games in the multiverse. Now, they want to use user-generated games, but they just pocket the money and provide a facility for you, for the average user to make the rest of it himself. No, I jest, of course. But again, they're citing Snow Crash, Ready Player One, etc. And they don't actually call it the metaverse. They do call it the multiverse, which will piss off Marvel fans who are looking forward to Doctor Strange's multiverse coming up soon. But what's in the name anyway? He says. Frederic Deschamps is the CEO of Manticore, and he hopes that one chunk of the multiverse will be housed under one roof through the core platform, Manticore Games. So Manticore are promoting Core, of course, and but not exclusively. They obviously see user generated stuff and collaboration being part of the roadmap. Core Games also use Epic's Unreal Engine, which is a point. So the graphics have variety and higher quality than many of the what they call the blocky Roblox ones. Could there be a bit of rivalry there? I wonder. Roblox versus Manticore. Anyway, the funding is big, and oh no, they're commenting on Rec Room there as well, and they point out that I didn't know this, or I don't know them. On Tuesday, a company called Dapper Labs raised $305 million. Now, Dapper Labs apparently are the maker of crypto kitties. Oh well, they're crypto kitties, eh?
Never heard of that. Yeah.
Neither have I, but they're obviously worth $305 million for investors. Right, metaverse startup. So yes, this was another video here. A GB Summit. This was right. Don't know where we. Oh, this is right. This was on video. Yeah. This is Magical talking to GamesBeat. Basically, I think this is.
Hello, my name's Jason Wilson. I'm the managing editor of VentureBeat's GamesBeat channel, and here we are talking about startups in the metaverse. And I'm
okay. So Frederic Deschamps, CEO of Manticore Games, was in this film, along with Ralph Costa, of course, very famous in virtual spaces. This we have seen, and I plugged this before. I think it was a GamesBeat. A month or two back, they had an online conference, and this session was part of it. So they've obviously just taken the session from GamesBeat on video and embedded it there. But it was a good listen. There was endless good listening that weekend, actually. So quite a lot of it as well. And yeah, here we are. They're just a bit more about core. So making characters, stuff like that. Okay, when it comes to user-created content, like games, if in other words you take the platform, you can make a whole game out of it. They share 50% of the revenue with the creators, in the hope that core creators can make a living making games. Okay, they justify their 50% because for marketing, customer service, community management. Like all these, that seems rather high, but I suspect maybe at some future points, if they actually have a lot of people using the system as well as their own employees, they might actually bring their commission down a bit. Obviously, with a fairly new company, that should have to quite a lot. Yeah, tells you all about it there. I won't read it for you. You can go to venturebeat.com and find out for yourself. venturebeat.com. And moving on to AR Insider. Oh, this is another site which is, well, ARINSIDER and then .co. Just CO, not com. There's along with one of the other sites earlier, it's it always fuddles me when I come to a site which is co, because psychologically I'm so used to websites having an M on the end, you know. But anyway, it's a co, not a co UK and not a com, just a co. Spatial Beats, they're looking at Rec Room, Niantic, and Apple. Yeah, they're called AR Insider, of course. Welcome to Spatial Beats. We welcome the age of VR content and looking at the Oculus Store and stuff. Rec Room, of course. OmniOne's prototype. Disobedient cats cavorting in VR. Great fun. From the mad scientist, Dr. Grum. Yeah, indeed. This is basically a roundup of various things you can find online, really. Some old Excel podcasts, actually. Yeah, stuff to look at if you want to. Nothing sort of crucially exciting there, but like I like size to round things up. Right, now we move on to Upload VR. Again, this time it's not their YouTube site, it's their actual website, uploadvr.com. And they're also talking about Spatial again, who were featured in a video. They've been adding Apple's iOS, like iPad, iPhone. They're adding LiDAR scans and real-time translation to their cross-platform collaboration thing. Now, we have a problem here. We don't have any pictures, do we? Let me just change to their website in case. Okay, they have got a few pictures here. We've watched various videos from before. Yeah, basically there's a lot of, oh yes, and that's the video we saw earlier, of course. So it relates to that interview. LiDAR is rather interesting though, because we have something called, when you get very photographic backgrounds or dioramas and things in virtual worlds made from photographs, they add a realistic, obviously, thing, but you don't really touch them. There's sort of backdrops from a distance, and put the real virtual world more in the foreground. And that process these days is generally known as photogrammetry. Now, when you approach that using this LiDAR tech, which is something you get on the iPhone or the iPad Pro at the moment, that takes on a whole new dimension. It allows you to take photographs from well, you can obviously move your position while you're taking them, but basically it's like taking a normal photograph, but it bounces light back sort of, I can't really explain this because it's very hard to imagine, but it sort of bounces light back from the environment as you're taking a photograph, which allows you to it to calculate what is, say, behind an object you're normally photographing, and that in turn, it obviously you can't create a 3D photograph which is behind an object. That would actually need having a 360 camera. The LiDAR static camera can actually sense or calculate some of what is behind. So if you've got a tree, for example, you can move the photograph a bit after it's been taken and get they do it with special effects already on film and television, but you get this kind of lenticular effect, I guess it is. If anybody remembers lenticular things, they were like badges of, say, an eye, and then when you moved it, it closed, and then when you moved again, it opened, and that was really a cheap animation thing. But if you can imagine something a lot more subtle, where you just get the sense of moving to the side of the tree, and you get just enough extra information to make you think this is 3D. And that seems to be the gist of what can be done. Using the LiDAR technology that's built into Apple's iPhone and iPad at the moment. And it has to be the very recent iOS devices to have that. And obviously, it's not the sort of thing you would only ever have it in a camera or built-in, mobile device. But I think it shows quite a lot of future. Anyway, Upload VR is where you want to be for that, and it's one of the many things that's actually mentioned in that interview we covered earlier with the CEO of Spatial. One where they're legless in Altspace VR, I think, wasn't it? Basically the features they've added: custom environments can import any 3D model or scan your own physical environment using LiDAR if you have, an iOS device, so you can set that as your own room environment. And improve spatial audio as well. But they cover the whole thing in that article and indeed in the video, so check that out. Moving on to another site we go to now and again. Interesting site, because guess what? It's called The Conversation. So, as you might expect, it has conversations. An interesting conversation too. This one, albeit interesting, is not exactly the first things you see on this, how game worlds are preparing humanitarian workers for high-stakes scenarios. Now, the topic of this is actually rather interesting. Pandemic has spread a new dependence on online technologies, and such as used in 3D video games, virtual reality, and augmented reality, and they can be designed now so that the person experiencing them is transported into a socially rich online world. And guess what the first embed is? An online world that's now near 15 years old, in fact. It began with the design of massively online role-playing games and continues with other platforms for living in an altered digital reality with with purposeful activities such as the platform's Second Life. So it's got a nice preview for them, promo for them there. And then it goes on to building simulations, game worlds for medical and aid workers, and looks at the whole gamut really of humanitarian workers, preparing in virtual reality for high stakes scenarios, to put it. Okay, so the site you want there is called The Conversation, or one word, in fact, TheConversation.com. There we go. I think I hear birds chirping somewhere. Nice. All right. So your end, I think.
I think it would be, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Not worried about open window. I love the sound of birds. So.
Me too.
No, it saves us too. Oh, let's apply some bird noises. Right. ETSI is a lightweight finger sensing VR controller with no trigger. ETEE, this is. Shown off at CES in January. They're lightweight with finger sensing features. And as the author held them in his hands, a laptop screen showed which gestures and movements the controllers actually recognized. Of a photo there. Otherwise, it's basically a bit of a review of them. They're seeking nearly $57,000 on Kickstarter to bring the controllers to fruition during the COVID-19 pandemic. So you got to hurry. They're obviously in a hurry to raise that amount while the pandemic is still here. An early bird pledge of around $297 promises a pair of the controllers with bespoke Steam VR tracker included, etc., etc. So they're looking at them, promoting them there, and some various schematics as to how they would work. This again is an article at uploadvr.com, so UPLOADVR. And getting near the end of the list here. Right. Oh, yes. Just finally, three fairly anecdotal things, really. This is at a site called noproscenium.com. We've had fun with this site before. NOPROSCENIUM.com. Noproscenium.com, I believe is how you would pronounce it. That's how I do it anyway. They too, by the way, have a Discord server which is full of helpful links. Right, this is a review of something called Into the Mist, which invites audiences into the 1920s. A light-hearted jazz age night on the virtual town. Now, this is really rather my cup of tea, although when I saw this picture, I mean, I swear the guy on the piano is a real photo, and I think she's real too. At first glance, you might think she's an avatar, but I think she is real, although there's strange shadowing on her top of her dress there. It's like somebody spilled something on the photograph, or, well, won't comment on the anatomy. Right. Yeah, so it's a photo, Roy and Aldi and the Cellar Boys. Basically, they loved the 1920s for immersive theatre, music, fashion, and the inherent smoky mystique. Create the perfect equation for an immersive environment, and the story opportunities are limitless. So the virtual production is called Into the Mist. It's a sandbox-style remote performance using custom-designed interactive website in conjunction with Zoom. And upon arrival, audience members are transported into the theatre with three main hallways, and then they click through various areas to go into different rooms, and different performers are hidden around every corner, and featuring acts like a jazzy singing duo, a magician, and even a sketch artist. There is something for everybody. So this actually sounds rather interesting, very much, taking the virtual rooms metaphor, basically, and then putting stuff into it, some of which is literally just, live action capture. And designed to create the mood of 20s jazz era. Talking of which, there's something from that era playing on my radio at the moment. You won't be able to hear it, but that's what you call.
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Absolute That's what you call absolute coincidence, actually. Right. Yeah. So basically, it's looking at that thing. Into the Mist currently runs from April 16th on Friday nights. Tickets are $16. I'm not quite sure where it. Oh well, no. I guess it is online. It's just so.
It mentions Zoom as a component of the performance.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, if you can probably go there and pay the equivalent of $16, whatever your local currency is. Right, they're advertising a new site that they started called Everything Immersive, which is not showing me the link. The new home for No Pros show listings. So as I said, they have a Discord server. I'm going to click on that very quickly. Okay, and just everything immersive, 2 words in one there .com, and Okay, that's a nice idea. You just have a nice thing and you search for an event or a category. Okay, let me find search for an event. What was there's oh, well, let's just try it. Glastonbury. This is not the right platform for that, so I'd be curious to see what they come. No, sorry, no matching options. Okay, you obviously need to know what you're looking for here. Oh, there we are, all events. Some of them free, some of them expensive by the look of it. Everythingimmersive.com. Oh, I have been here before. I'm in the wrong browser, or I'd hunt for an RSS feed for us, but yeah. Okay, everythingimmersive.com. So a list of various things online for you to do there. Right, okay. Two more. Both of these I latched on today, and both have to do with Scotland. Yes, indeed. Scotland. That's the bit up in the north of Britain, north of England, where the wild folks live. Well, used to. Anyway, yeah, this one doesn't load into the reader, but it does load here. The National is a newspaper that supports an independent Scotland. Well, I'm not going to go into the politics of all that. A lot of Scotsman, the next one, fairly volatile on politics too. But basically, a centuries-old palace concert recreating using modern technology. That photo, or whatever you call it, is at Linlithgow Palace, was the royal residence of the Stuarts and the birthplace of Mary, Queen of Scots. And what they've done is they've recreated it as a musical time machine, so you can go there virtually and go back in time 500 years ago and experience the sounds and the music and everything as it would have been in the day. And there had to be a segue here, of course. One thing they did, which they must have, I guess, probably done with iPads or something, is they used a technique called LiDAR scanning. Yes, to capture the Chapel Royal of Linlithgow Palace in West Lothian as it currently stands. And then working with architectural records and stuff like that, they virtually reconstructed what the chapel itself might have looked like when James IV visited for the Easter celebrations in the year 1512. Yeah. So, however many Easters ago that is. Anyway, interesting stuff, I thought. It doesn't really... it's one of those newspapers that think it's great fun to write an article and give you no links. Look at this. There's not a single clickable URL anywhere in this article. But I guess you better look it up, Linlithgow Palace or something like that. I thought it was interesting anyway. And my final one is actually Edinburgh's Hollywood Park. This is the Edinburgh News. So sorry, that last one, by the way, was the National.Scot. So you spell it THENATIONAL, as you would expect, then .SCOT. So they've even got their own web suffix up there. Right. Edinburgh's Hollywood Park inspires a new virtual reality foraging video game. I love the sound of this. Hollywood Park, by the way, is in Edinburgh, but of course the Scottish Parliament building is called Holyrood too, if you thought that was familiar. The game takes users on a virtual trip around Scotland, allowing them to collect mushrooms, garlic, and berries, and then cook with them at home. I think this woman's come up with a rather genius idea, actually, because the idea is you do everything online that you might have done roaming around different parts of Scotland, picking up berries and stuff and finding all about them, and then extending that into the idea of you brought all the stuff home and then she gives you recipes to cook all the stuff you picked up. So you get an education of what's growing where all around Scotland, and where you can maybe get it when you're free to get there, if you see what I mean. But she's also, as well as being a nature lover, she's giving you recipes to cook too. Anyway, she's 28 years old, nature lover called Eleanor Hodge, and Wholesome Out and Above is the name of this project she's designed. the game, she calls it. It allows people all around the world to experience the natural world of Scotland, of course, in their homes. She's actually originally from Germany. She moved to Edinburgh to study design and digital media and quickly fell in love with the city. And her love for Scotland's landscape has created a virtual world where players can explore the country's rivers and mountains whilst learning about nature on the way. And foraging has allowed Miss Hodge to spend more time outside, which has helped improve her physical and mental well-being. I guess foraging, as they call it here, is probably quite so long as lockdown is not saying stay in your homes, and the rule book seems to have been replaced with stay local in Scotland. This is. So obviously, just because you're allowed out doesn't mean you rampage across all of Scotland yet, but sort of it does sound like a fun thing to do, because if you're looking for mushrooms and stuff like sort of treasure hunt, you can probably generally stay away from other people. It's not like going to a fair and there's a treasure hunt where everybody's following the hunt in a kind of mass crowd. So yeah, I think this sounds like this sort of some great fun. And she's been presented with a Young Innovator Award from Innovate UK for what she's done there. So that is too. And with that, and she looks nice too. Good photograph that. Nicely posed anyway. With that is that. If you see what I mean. The last link of the week.
Of the week.
All
right.
We're over. Yeah, well, I did the videos and stuff near the beginning, didn't I?
Yeah.
We are done. We are done. Question
All right.
is, am I under an hour yet? No chance, but
hour and a half.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
Hour and a half. Well, we're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, our 3 or 4 hour marathons are out the window, and I did have a lot of individual films to.
Yeah. A lot of videos, right?
Yeah. So, any thoughts, James, before we?
No. I don't think I have any thoughts in particular. Very exciting continuous development in the new thing. I would emphasize the art exhibit at VWBPE, the Virtual World's Best Practices in Education conference. It was I wasn't expecting it, and it was such a pleasant surprise to come upon it.
Right.
Yeah.
I will go in. I will go in there. Look, we are, of course, for folks listening, we're talking about Second Life.
What's Second Life?
Grand,
What is that?
the grand old high street of Second Life of the Metaverse. I think of it. It's if you want large numbers of people, bigger events and places to go and buy stuff and whatever, or it's the sort of place too where people who actually use OpenSim for more private and cost-effective projects. It's always worth having the showroom or the front office somewhere in Second Life, because simply because you can reach lots more people than you can, somewhere like OpenSim, where you're actually dependent on advertising your location to the people you want and bringing them over yourself. Whereas in Second Life, people stumble upon things. And Virtual World's Best Practices in Education, called VWBPE for short, happened a couple of weeks ago, a major educational conference, which James and I were both involved with filming, and I even interviewed one of their award winners. All I can suggest is you need to log into Second Life with whatever viewer you can, something like Firestorm or even a Second Life Linda Nabone viewer. And on the map, you just do a search for VWBPE, and there are about 9 regions all bumped together again there. And I don't know which region the particular art exhibit's in, but in fact there are sort of exhibits and stuff all over the place there, as well as the actual venues where things were held. It was a bit last year and this year. It was the same set, as it were, and it was all It was held on asteroids floating in space, and it was a bit disconcerting. I mean, it was definitely a not possible in real life scenario, but so a lot of people were trying to sit on a rock floating in space, and then it was hard to tell how close to the stage you were, or even floating above it. Bit disconcerting or whatever. So once you were sat and everything was okay, though, you could hear stuff. See screens. So, but a bit of a strange environment, which I doubt if they will keep up for next year. They'll probably keep us new. But as I say, VWBPE is the regions you want, and if you follow green dots on the map when you find the region, that you will probably land on the ground somewhere. Maybe some NPCs floating around or something. And you really just have to find signposts to get to where you be. You can, of course, go to vwp.org, I think it is, on the web, and the agenda will still be up, and there's probably a bit telling you where the galleries are and what the map coordinates are. So,
even some slurls. Remember slurls?
Yes. Oh, that is what I mean. Yes. And yes. So do that, and I will do that as well before it all vanishes for another year.
Wow.
Right. I think that's about it for us then. Dee-dum, dee-dum, dee-dum. Yes, it is. It is indeed. So I will say on behalf of somebody else, it's goodbye from him.
And I'll say on behalf of some other person, it's goodbye from him.
It's goodbye from both of us. Isn't that cute? Sorry. Right, okay. But we got to do our finale, haven't we? Because on this show, we talk about MR, mixed reality, or VR, reality, or XR, extended reality, or AR, augmented reality, and lots of R's, really. But at the end of the day, you can leave it to us because we are. Yeah, we'll get there one day. Right, okay, so from both of us, until same time, same place next week, it is goodbye. Have a good one. Stay safe. And if you do go out, stay near to home. Stay local, as they say in Scotland. You get the idea. Stay safe. Stay well. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.